what's going on. Just as the sun has risen, so should our mind and our heart. Above all things, we ought to have courage. Courage is needed in times such as this. You guys, we're here on day number 21 of our journey together with vulnerability, 21 days into this thing, and it's definitely been an experience so far. This morning, it's early. It is. I rose this morning and I made a personal commitment to my twin sister yesterday. Well, I guess really I vocalized it, I expressed myself. She asked me, she said, Trev, you seem to be on a good path, and I seem to kind of struggle with time management. What do you do? How do you plan your day? And instead of saying, write a plan down the night before, things like that, I assessed it. I said, you know what I do is when my eyes open and I wake up, that's when I wake up. I get right up. I get right up. I get right up. As soon as my eyes wake up, I get right up. And that energy is just there, right? More importantly, I then start to act on the things that I've already know is important. So I get up and I take a shower, get my day rolling, right? It's interesting because this is just a free-flowing conversation, and you don't know how bad I just want to press pause and redo this again. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, right? I'm going to shift this conversation, so thank you for following with me. But we're going to be talking today about the fear of being exposed. And I briefly mentioned what I do when I get up. And it's really just to share with you guys out there who struggle with managing their day, or just, especially during this epidemic, what to do. When your eyes open, get up. Then do the very first thing you know that's important to you. Get up, take a shower, go meditate in the shower, go breathe in the shower, visualize your day, think about what your day is going to look like. And sometimes that's a difficult thing to do because you may not be feeling your best. And that's an interesting thing because it's going to bleed into the conversation we have today, right? So all these components matter. And today, day number 21, we're going to be talking about the fear of being exposed. The fear of being exposed. Let me go ahead and pour my hot water. I made some tea this morning. So I'm going to go ahead and pour this in there. Give me a second. The fear of being exposed. The fear of being exposed. As I just mentioned earlier, typically when I do these videos for you guys, really for myself, I don't know why I just said you all. It starts off for myself and then hopefully it blesses other people. If you had access to my phone, you would see that there are multiple takes. And the people that know me well, my girl, right? My significant other, she knows me very well. My twin, my mom, just people who know me well, probably understand that I tend to focus on trying to do things the right way. And I focus so much on being a perfectionist at times that as it relates to doing these videos, I tend to stop the recording, redo it. If I don't like the way I look, stop the recording, redo it. If I don't like the way I sound, stop the recording, redo it. If I don't like the way the scenery is set up, stop the recording, redo it. Because in my mind, I'm like, well, I got to do it just the right way because you never know, right? We're always coming up with reasons to why we have the fear of being exposed. We don't really deal with what's going on the inside. We tend to focus or pay attention on the result so much, right? It's so much about result driven. We live in a result driven society. So it's a lot about that, right? And so today I'm not going to do that. I'm being vulnerable. You guys are seeing it all right now. First take, first push through, right? So I'm drinking this tea. It's a green tea with lemon, and the other one is a stress reliever tea. And they both have quotes on them. This first quote says, "He who wants a rose must respect the thorn." He who wants a rose must respect the thorn. Again, that drives into the conversation, right? We all want the rose, we want the result, but we tend to try to avoid the thorns, the pain, the struggle, the what ifs, right? The fear of being exposed. So that's interesting, it ties into that. This cup is blazing hot. Alrighty, we are born wise, we are born complete. We are born wise and we're born complete. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Again, this topic really came shortly after I got out of the shower. I was trying to think. I said, what am I going to discuss today? What is today going to be about? Because I really put a lot of emphasis on trying to impact not only myself and doing things right, but also I don't know who's listening to these, right? And I want to make sure you guys are truly impacted by an effective message. But I don't know what's effective because I'm not there with you and you're listening to it. So it's interesting that I'm putting so much focus on what you all are going to perceive, or what you guys are going to receive, right? And I'm toiling with myself, right? And this is like this inner toil. Well, this is not good enough. I don't want to talk about this. Maybe I don't have enough information. Maybe I don't have enough knowledge. Maybe I'll look stupid. Maybe they'll say, oh, let's not listen. Maybe they'll turn it off because of what I'm wearing. So many different things that happen, at least within my mind, and some of you guys may be able to relate, that it prevents me from moving forward. It's this fear of being exposed. What if people really know I don't have enough information? But we're gonna dive into that. We're gonna dive into what that really is, right? Because that's surface level. That's surface level, baby. That's surface level. You know, our mind, our past experiences, our thoughts and our perceptions of what people think, we're so entangled with the surface stuff, the things that don't really have the truth, and we tend to listen to those voices, if you will, right? We're not good enough, or what will they think? What will they say? I may not have enough information, and then we'll avoid the fight. We'll avoid the rumble of vulnerability. We step outside of that ring, and we don't dive into finding ourselves first and foremost, the truth about ourselves, being our authentic self. But more importantly, we don't know, because we may be withholding information that may bless other people because we're so caught up in what we perceive, what we think, right? So, fear. What is this fear thing? What is fear? There's so much stuff that we fear. So much. We fear not having enough money. Fear of being exposed. The fear of that, you know, you don't have enough income. You know, how does that really impact you? What is the impact of you fearing that someone may know that you don't have enough money? It could be an internal fear within yourself that you feel like you don't have enough. And we put so much value on money, currency. There's so much value we place there, and and the people that I feel that are the wealthiest don't really necessarily place the value on the money. They place the value on the investment, what they're investing in, and based off what they invest in, which is what their belief is, right? Their heart, which is inside of them. Then from there, the investment will eventually grow and allow them to gain wealth, right? Gain income. But why do we fear not having enough? Whatever the reason is, you know your reason. That's something that you can explore within yourself. And that's something I've dealt with. Fear of not having enough money. Fear of not being good enough. What if you're out there and you love playing sports, but you don't go out there because you don't feel like you're good enough? You don't try out for the team. You don't participate because you feel like you don't have the skill. There's something about you that you're fearing of being exposed. So you don't even make an effort. You don't even try. What if it's your children? What if your children what if children or youth, anybody out there, have the fear of feeling like they're not good enough, so they don't even try? You know, you ask them, hey, do you want to join the team? Hey, do you want to play this sport? And they're like, nah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Are you paying attention to them? To really address that fear beneath the surface, right? That's what we're going to talk about. There's something happening beneath the surface, because it's not all about fear. But fear is something we typically, there's typically behaviors and feelings that follow fear, right? So fear of not being enough. You know, one of the things that we tend to value is technology, right? But what if what you love, the fear of breaking or being not connected with other people, because technology connects us, right? And the fear of breaking our device, the fear of not being able to stay connected to the people that we love, whatever your fear is, right? We fear a lot of things. We don't want to, we just, it's amazing because life is, we live, every day we wake up, there's so many things presenting itself to us to provoke fear. Every day we wake up, there's so many things presenting itself to us to provoke fear, the sense of fear. What happens when we stop being afraid and stop having fear being exposed? So, let's continue on with this conversation. So there's a couple of things that I wrote down that I wanted to make sure we have a talk track with, right? Fear being exposed. Oftentimes when we have fear being exposed, we fear rejection. Rejection, right? It's a sense of feeling that people are going to reject us, that we're not going to be accepted. And that is even an internal thing. Sometimes we reject ourselves. Our mind is an interesting thing because rejection has a lot to do with the mind, right? The way we think. The way we think. And if you are thinking that you're going to be rejected by this person or this thing, then you won't even put forth the effort. You won't even do anything. You won't move. Why won't you move? Why won't you make an effort? Think about that. Think about that. Rejection is a strong thing. Fear being exposed. We don't want to be rejected. Anxiety. Fear being exposed can cause anxiety in some people, right? Anxiety has to do with the nervous system. Heart fluttering, heart moving as well. Your body responds to anxiety, stress, right? And if you're not paying attention to that, it's going to consume you. It's going to overwhelm you. And oftentimes when you're in an anxious state, if something that you're afraid of is creating anxiety, sometimes that can overwhelm you. And that sense of being overwhelmed can impact your heart, right? Your health, your condition. And fear has impacted a lot of people's health, right? Fear can also impact what you do. Procrastination, oh wow. So much in your mind. You're not doing anything. You're just staying there. You're not moving, you're not thinking, you're not acting. You don't feel that you're good enough. So therefore you procrastinate. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do this podcast tomorrow. I'll apply for this job tomorrow. I'll go talk to this person tomorrow. I'll go interact with them tomorrow. Right? We procrastinate. The sense of fear drives us to procrastinate. But the key is this. This is the part I love right here. This is the key. Controllable. What can you control? You see, the fear of being exposed is nothing more than just that. It's a statement that we tell ourselves. It's in the mind, right? It's a thought. You can change your thoughts. You can change the way you think, right? You can feel it in your body, but you can do something about that. You can change the condition of your body. You can meditate. Breathing helps regulate the body, center the body, right? Procrastination, the action, just do it. Like Nike, just do it, right? There's certain things that you can control in that. You can regain the control. Oftentimes fear will put you in a state of not doing anything and just being consumed by everything. Fear will put you in a state of not doing anything but being consumed by everything. And the beauty in this is that there's things that you can control, right? So why is it important to overcome being afraid? Why is that important to you? Why? What are you going through right now? What are you experiencing right now that is holding you back because of this fear? And what will happen if you actually do it? Will you fail? Maybe. Will you make a mistake? Possibly. Will they laugh at you? Maybe. Will they talk about you? Possibly. But guess what? It's not who you are. So you're blessed. Do it anyways. Make an effort, because the thing about it is this: you don't know what will happen, but the most important thing, the priority, is not the response of others. It's the learning and you being in your authentic self, you presenting yourself. There's so much that you can discover about yourself by overcoming your fears. That laugh that you hear, maybe that person's own personal insecurity within themselves, right? Those negative comments and feedback, That person may be struggling within themselves to find a sense of balance within themselves to give you the effective feedback or to connect with you or to have compassion with you, right? But it's not important. That's not the importance. So I'm not going to spend time talking about what other people think. What's important is that you make the effort. You do it. Step out there. What are you afraid of? Exposure? Exposure is vulnerability. That's what we've been talking about now for 21 days. Rumbling with vulnerability, stepping into the arena. The thing about it is this: vulnerability is going to happen one way or the other. Why won't you just be present? Be present. Fear will prevent you from being present, right? Show up. Don't be afraid. And the ways that how can you overcome fear? We talked about the benefits of fear, overcoming fear, right? Self-development, being in your true self, that growing, that self-fulfillment. How can you overcome fear? Acting. Let's start with rejection, right? So if you're feeling a sense of rejection, how can you overcome rejection? Because it's in the mind. So how can you overcome that? Let's talk about that. Think about that. How can you overcome rejection if it's in the mind? Change the way you think. They may reject me. Okay, that's a thought. I'm going to do this regardless if I'm rejected because I love myself enough. That's a different thought. I am enough. That's a different thought. I am. That's a different thought. It will not only bless me, but it'll bless others. That's a different thought. I need to grow, and in order for me to grow, I need to assess. And in order for me to assess, there needs to be a behavior. In order for there to be behavior, there needs to be action. That's a different thought. There's so many different ways you could change the way you think. It's not all about rejection. There's so many other accessibilities you have in this world and your life right now, currently in front of you, but you just have to change the way you think. Anxiety, that's a real thing. How do you overcome anxiety? There's so many different tools and resources out there. Oftentimes, the people that experience high anxiety tend to isolate themselves or tend to have this state of confusion. So they have this fear of telling anybody, this fear of sharing, or just this compulsion of not just doing. Breathing. Take 5, 6, 7, 8 is a technique that I do, right? Breathe in for 5 seconds. Hold it for 6. Release for 7 out your mouth. And you can elevate that. You can evolve that technique. You can sit up straight, breathe in, spine to the sky, 5 seconds. Hold it in. You now have oxygen in your body. As you're holding it in, visualize the oxygen going through your blood cells, healing and touching your body, restoring your body, healing. Visualize that, see that, dive into that, see that. You're visualizing it. When you release for 7, releasing the bad. Releasing the bad. That's meditative stuff, right? It brings you back to a sense of wholeness. Some people need medication. Some people need counseling. Some people need therapy. Whatever the case is, it's okay. Make that effort, because we're talking about the why is being part of your whole self, your authentic self. Make these efforts to do these things so that way you can continue to experience your authentic and your true self. But what? So we talked about how the behaviors, right? The what will happen. Typically what it will impact is your relationship with yourself. The more that you overcome fear, the more that you act, the more that you do something to interact, you're going to start to realize that you'll have information because you've done something, you've done a behavior. So now you can make these proper assessments: what worked, what didn't work, and that's where true learning comes from. So the next time you do it, based off your assessment, especially if you're observing yourself, whether it's recording or getting feedback or just paying attention to yourself, you'll be able to make proper adjustments next time. Pay attention to your body too, right? How you felt when you did it. And when you're able to pay attention to all these different things, this gives you information, data, right, to make these proper assessments. And then once you get enough collective data and make these proper assessments, then you can make the adjustments. And what you'll start to realize is the control is back in your hands. You see, fear takes the control out of your hands and puts it in the hands of other people, other things. Fear drives you away. And it's interesting because the other component of fear is religion, right? Religion. Sometimes fear can drive people away from religion. for whatever reason, of feeling as if, it's not for them, or it could be because of the people in the religion, the attitudes, the behaviors in religion. There's so many surface level things that drive people away. But to me, religion just means a pattern of behaviors, right? An exercising of behaviors that help connect you to your faith or your belief. So there's many type of religions we're aware of in this world today. And these religions, or these categories, if you will, enable people to have certain behaviors that help them relate to their faith, connect them to their faith, have a relationship with their faith. And maybe those behaviors aren't something, or those beliefs aren't something, or the core values aren't something that you naturally accept. But really what religion does, again, it associates with your faith, which is inside of you, which is placed into your heart. It allows you to have access within yourself. It helps you really have a relationship with yourself, ultimately, right? So no matter if you're afraid of religion, it's still fear. And you still have to regain that sense of control and have this introverted assessment within yourself, your condition of your heart, the condition of your mind, condition of your experience. And you can really, and that requires you to be vulnerable, right? To take this deep dive in. And the more that you have this deep dive in, then you can take a look out to see what type of behaviors will help you maintain this relationship. And oftentimes that's how religion fits people. And there's also a deeper element in religion as well, this higher consciousness, this state of being one with the Creator. And people define it differently. For me, I define it as God. God is the ultimate creator. And there's times where, I fear, or have insecurities, or I have something going on within me that's preventing this relationship with God, and I turn my back on him. And it never fails. Once I pause, reflect, and really take a deep dive inside and assess myself, I realize that God has never left me. He's never left me. The Creator never leaves you. He's present. He's the beginning. He's the end. He's all knowing. He's all encompassing. He's present. He's there. And the beauty in that is because now that I know He's always there, I now have a way to express what I discover about myself to someone who already knows me, and can confirm these things, and can expose these things, enlighten these things. And ultimately, even in Scripture, the Bible talks about that perfect love drives out fear. Perfect love drives out fear. And this sense of perfection, this unconditional love, is something that people can't give you. People can't give you unconditional love, because no different than me, no different than you, we all already have our own inward challenges. And since we're not our authentic self at all times, our best self at all times, we can tend to affect people or have bad behaviors towards people. So we put conditions on how we love and how we give. So, but God has this unconditional love for us, where no matter what we do to the Creator, no matter what we say to the Creator, He's always presently there and available. And that accessibility really is discovered within. And I'm only pointing to my body because, from a communication standpoint, this is something that you guys can identify or connect to. But really, it's an inward thing. It's an assessment of your soul, an assessment of who you are. And then in that communication, you realize we're all connected through DNA. We're all connected through different strands, energy, vibrations. And because we have this senses of being connected, and this totality, there's this thrust, or this effort to have a universal communication. And oftentimes religion can try to adopt that universal communication, at least perceptionally, because we all are trying to communicate and understanding each other, and religion helps us identify certain behaviors, identify certain beliefs and strategies, so to speak. And that's why you have this thrust of people saying that they're spiritualists, because there's no real religion in that. It's just the natural connection of spirits and connection and vibes and energies, and that limits communication. Therefore, it limits the barriers. And ultimately, you all will find that the more that you're one with yourself, the more that you're paying attention to yourself and being vulnerable enough to assess yourself, the more that you overcome the fear right? The more that you overcome fear or take fear out of the equation, then the more it becomes an action. Be exposed. Be exposed. Be vulnerable. Be present. Be aware. Things are transferring all the time. Take it as you want it. Take it as you want it. In any culture, in any society, any organization, in any person, in any relationship, things are transferring. Whether you're aware of it or not, that's up to you to pay attention. It's up to you to listen. It's up to you to connect. It's up to you to ask. It's up to you to receive. These are all controllables. And if you're not participating, and you have your back turned while these things are being transferred, by the time you turn back around, you're going to miss information. And the major impact in that is you can miss what's being put in you and taken out of you if you're not paying attention. So the beauty is in vulnerability, it's letting us know that there is an exposure point, there is an accessible point, but being present, being one, slowing down, paying attention, you'll be able to gather enough information to make a controllable, to control certain things, right? To control certain behaviors, to do certain things which are controllables. These are in your control. To distribute or to have certain thoughts, these are in your control, right? And you're doing it from your authentic self. That's the presence in which you should do it, and that's this sense of not letting fear be the controller, but you being the controller, right? Again, today was just a free-flowing conversation. I wanted to overcome my fear, and I also wanted to be vulnerable, and I did it. So now I have the ability to listen to the video, watch the video, gain feedback, but more importantly, just do it. Don't live in fear. Just do it. That's what the most important thing is. In the moment, just do it. All right, you guys stay blessed. I gotta get the rest of my day going. Find peace in all that you do, create clarity, and you guys win your day, own your day.